That familiar focus, that breathing technique, that rhythm. But already Charlotte Henshaw, to Emma Wiggs's right, has taken on the lead. Now, will she take on the mantle of world champion? We've yet to find out. We have another 100 metres.
I think what makes me more than an athlete is I'm a family member, I'm a friend. I have lots of interests outside of sport, which I think it's quite easy to sometimes forget who you are outside of your sport because you can become so defined by it. I'm a theatre goer, I love the theatre. I'm a pretty normal 32-year-old, to be honest. I like to spend time with my friends and family because, you know, having to commit so much time to training, you don't get a chance to do that. And I think with age, I've kind of learnt that yes, it's important to commit your time to the sport, but it's just as important, if not more so, to commit that time to being Charlotte outside of being the kayaker or as was the swimmer. So I've learned to kind of dedicate my time a little bit more to things that make me happy outside of sport. My parents took me to my first West End musical when I was like 6, I think. I went to see Joseph down in London, and I just remember the colours, and it was all just really vibrant and exciting. And we used to listen to musicals in the car and things like that, and so it kind of elicits those really fond memories of my childhood. And then as I've got older, it's been something that I've been able to do with my friends. I've found a whole other group of friends through the theatre by sort of going to shows and seeing the same sort of people around. The theatre world is quite small. And I think as well, once the sport got a lot more sort of seemingly pressurised and it became a much bigger deal, it's a nice way to sort of spend an evening or an afternoon where you're completely transported to somewhere else and you don't have to think about, you know, your training or anything like that. It kind of allows you that escapism, which I really need to focus on what I'm doing when I'm here. I love to travel. I've been really fortunate throughout the 2 sports that I've done to see a lot of the world, but not really see it, if that makes sense. It kind of gives you that bug for travelling, but then you have to kind of go away at a different time and dedicate that time if you really want to see somewhere. So I love to travel and meet new people. And I think as I've got older as well, I've become more interested in making sure that there's equality for people with a disability. I've had my disability since I was a child, and growing up there were things that I experienced that you know, people are still experiencing now. And you know, I'm 32 years old, and I ask that question, like, why haven't we moved on? We have in so many ways, but there's still things that need to be done, and I think that it needs people to be advocates for that. So I'm really passionate about that and would like to get more involved in that sort of stuff, which then I think sort of ties in nicely with promoting the Paralympic movement as well. I had a brilliant childhood, and I have very supportive parents that sort of knocked on doors, asked the questions, but the opportunities have to be there for you to ask those questions. And I think the Paralympic movement is doing an amazing thing for advancing the conversation, but I think there's still more that needs to be done. So for me, I've seen what lives people with a disability can have, and not everybody wants to be an athlete if they've got a disability, but there are ways of getting that conversation started, allowing people to have choice, to have an equal life to somebody who's not got a disability. And I think it's just seeing and meeting people that don't find it quite as easy to do that, and helping to give them a platform to move on from. It's difficult. You know, athletes like a plan. We like to know what we're doing. We like structure. We like timetable. But again, I keep saying it, but it's really, as I've got older, I've realised the importance that maybe you do have to plan it in, but you need to plan it in. You have to have that time where you go, today I'm not Charlotte the athlete, I am Charlotte the friend, the daughter, you know, and I think that helps you to have perspective, and this sort of sporting world can become all-encompassing, and I think the pressure almost increases when it does become that. And so I think with the experience that I've had from being in one sport where I perhaps didn't dedicate enough time to looking at what I wanted to do after I'd retired, or making sure that I had a long weekend away with friends, when I moved to this sport, I was really conscious that I wanted to do that, and with the support of, you know, the staff from British Canoeing, I've been able to do that, and I think that's shown itself in my performance, that I don't feel like I'm missing out on everything. I'm able to get a balance which allows me to be better in every part of that. I mean, I've always been passionate about sport. It's been my life since I was tiny, and I ummed and ahed during my A-levels and university of whether I wanted to leave it when I came to finish sport. But I think people that have been involved in sport have got so much to offer when they decide to hang up their goggles or hang up their paddle, and I think it's really important to have people that have been involved in it staying involved as we move forward to progress things. And so working with UK Sport was really eye-opening. I had met people there that I didn't even know were a department in UK Sport, and it was really nice to kind of understand the cogs in that machine that makes sport in this country move. And yeah, I'm definitely interested in keeping exploring that. I think, you know, you make incredible networks when you are involved in sport, and it's a shame to waste them if that's what you want to kind of go into. I think the relationship with the media and athlete having a really comfortable relationship with media is paramount, especially when you go into big competitions, because it can be an extra stress. So anything you can do to kind of negate that is really important. And I think especially with being passionate about Paralympic sport, as I am, I think Channel 4 do an incredible job of increasing the profile of Paralympic sport, but I still think there's more that needs to be done to kind of bring it up to sort of the Olympic equality standards. So that's really important for me to kind of have that media relationship and maybe get involved with trying to advance that even further when I retire.
Of world champion, we've yet to find out. We've another 100 metres, another halfway to go. Charlotte putting it.
I think it's hugely important to have that sense of identity outside of your sport, because we're very fortunate to live the life that we live and to be able to do sport for a living, and there's going to be an end point. It's inevitable that everybody will have to retire at some point, and I think it's really important to acknowledge the parts of you that make you who you are aside from that, because like I said, when that's gone, you're kind of left with this big void if you're not careful. And I think it's just really worth taking the time to explore who you are. It might not be something you want to do as a job, but you know, for me it is about exploring that opportunity to go down and see a show and escape for 3 hours, and that allows me then to be really present in body and mind when I'm here. If I've had a lovely weekend catching up with friends that I've not seen for 6 months because everybody's off living their life, got children, work commitments, you know, you can come back with a real sense of positivity, going, yeah, I'm satisfied, I've been replenished sort of on a personal level rather than sporting, and you can kind of come back and go, you know what, I'm ready to attack a week of training or attack this next block. And I think if you don't make time to do that, it becomes all encompassing and the pressure just mounts, and then that's going to manifest itself in performance, I think. I think take the time to explore what you like. You know, it can be as weird and wonderful as you like, and I think maybe sometimes that's better, because you get to explore these completely different areas that you're not exposed to every day, and to really make the most of spending time with the people that support you, because we move so fast and people are so busy, and I think it's quite easy to kind of forget to just check in with someone or make time to just have a quick coffee. It might not be a full day, it might not be a weekend, but even just going and checking in with someone for an hour and just don't talk about your sport, talk about something completely different, because I found that was a real game changer for me, is getting that headspace away from sport makes the sport almost easier, if that makes sense. So they've been my 2 bits of advice really, is explore everything you can and take the time to be present with people that are your support network.